Hello everybody, this is Monica. I'm one of the designers with the Ornament Girl, and today I'm going to show you how to take a foam egg and divide it into 8 equal sections. Now this particular egg is already pre-marked. You can find pre-marked foam eggs and other pre-marked foam shapes in the Ornament Girl supply shop. So if you're interested in some pre-marked shapes, make sure you check those out. But if the foam egg that you happen to be using does not have lines pre-marked on there, and you need to do them yourself, you can use this technique no matter what size of egg you're wanting to use. Or if you happen to have a rough foam egg, this same technique can be used for that as well. All you need to do this technique is a long strip of paper. It needs to be long enough to wrap all the way around your egg, and some sort of a pen or pencil, something to mark with. You'll also need some straight pins so that you can pin the paper to the foam. You'll also find some scissors and a flexible measuring tape helpful as well. Now, it does not really matter, like I said, if this is a rough foam egg or a soft foam egg. The great thing about using the soft foam eggs is because they do have a line that runs around the middle of it, not quite in the middle, but somewhere there you'll see like a mold line. And that's just made during the manufacturing process. When the two pieces of the egg, the two different sides, are melded together in the middle, it creates that line. And so that's really convenient because that tends to be the widest part of the egg, and that's where you're going to take your piece of paper and wrap it around. But if you happen to have a rough foam egg, like rough styrofoam, it's probably not going to have that line around that widest part of the egg, so you are going to have to do just a little bit of eyeballing. So what I like to do is just kind of lay it down flat and look at it from above, and then just try to see and gauge where is that widest spot on the egg, about where is it the absolute widest, where's the fattest part, and then I'll usually just take a pen or marker or something, and where I think it's just about the widest on both sides, I'll just make a little mark, just something so that I can go back to that spot when I begin to take my paper and wrap it around the fat part of the egg. All right, but since on this particular egg I do have a slight line there that I can follow, that's where I'm going to begin. So I'm going to take one end of the strip of paper and just place it directly on that line. And I'm going to go ahead and pin it there with a straight pin all the way down just so it doesn't wiggle around on me. And now I'm just going to begin wrapping it right around that mold line all the way around my egg. Now if for some reason it's slipping around too much on you, you can pin it a couple more times. I'm actually not going to pin it again. Now that I'm back at the beginning point, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to snip it off right at that spot, or you could even mark it with your pen or pencil and then snip it later, but I happen to have my little snippy scissors right here, and I'm just going to snip it right there, right where those two ends meet on the egg. So now when I remove this strip of paper, the length of the paper is the exact circumference around the fattest part of my egg. And now we can fold this paper, and we're going to be able to get equal sections marked on here. So let's fold it in half, just absolutely in half. You want to line up those edges of your paper and then come down and just create a fold line. So it's folded in half. And now we're going to fold it in half one more time. So bring it up where all those edges meet. And when they're lined up, then you can go ahead and pinch it down here to create another set of folds. All right, so our paper's getting little. We're going to do one more set of folds. So we're going to go ahead and fold it once again in half so all those edges meet up, and then pinch it. I know that's really little, but now when we open it up, we're going to have 8 equal sections right where all of those little creases are in the paper. Now it's hard to see on camera, so I'm going to go ahead and take my pen and mark those so you can see them a little easier and so I can see them myself. There we go. We have 8 equal sections marked, and I'm going to go ahead and pin this right back on that fat part of my egg. Pin the end of it. I'm going to go ahead and make a little mark right where I started and then wrap it around. I've pinned it again, and now just make sure that it's absolutely straight all the way around your egg, and then make a mark directly on the foam right where each of those little marks are. And now you can take your paper off. So now we know where our 8 sections are. They're nice and equal all the way around the egg, and now we need to take those marks and extend them to the top and to the bottom point on the egg. Now this is really easy if you happen to have pole markings on your egg. Now pole markings are those funny little indentations that often you can see at the tip and at the bottom of your egg. The foam egg I'm working with does happen to have pole markings. If yours does not have any pole markings, you are going to have to do, once again, a little bit of eyeballing. So really you just want to try to look and see about where is the very, very tippy top of my egg, and just put a little dot right there where you think it's just about right there. You're going to have to do the same thing here at the bottom of the egg, but sometimes that's a little harder on this wider part of the egg. It seems to be fairly easy on the narrow part, but on the bottom part it can be a little bit tricky. So sometimes I'll just sort of, guess. I'll look at the end of my egg and say, I think it's about right here, and I'll put just a little mark there, but we'll get a little more specific when we actually bring our lines to the top and to the bottom. And now we're going to take those lines and extend them to the top and the bottom of the egg. I like to use my flexible measuring tape for this, though you could certainly use the edge of your paper if you wanted to. So I like to take my measuring tape and just align it with any one of those lines. It doesn't matter which one. And you can just pin it in place temporarily just to hold it there. And now you want to bring it up to the top. Now, as I said before, if you don't know exactly where that pole is, the exact spot, you're going to have to do some eyeballing. So just try to make sure that your measuring tape or your paper, whatever you're using as your straight edge, that it does look like it is straight up and down. If it's off to the side one way or the other, then you're probably going to need to adjust it. So I think mine's pretty straight, and it is coming up here to where my pole marking is. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it there so it doesn't slip around. And then I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to bring that straight edge straight down, and then just take a look at it from top to bottom. Does it look like it's running straight? If so, go ahead and pin it at the bottom. Now the thing about these curved edges is that that flexible measuring tape is not going to lay completely flat against your foam, and sometimes it likes to slip around where there's no pin. So if you find that yours is slipping to the side, go ahead and put a couple extra pins in there to hold it in place. So I've added a couple of extra pins here just to make sure that it's not going to slip around on me. So now I'm going to just draw a line from the top, following that straight edge down through that section mark that I made around the center of the egg, and then down here to the bottom. And now I can remove all of my pins. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side of the egg. I find that when I work in pairs, I tend to get better results. You certainly don't have to. You could just go one line at a time and work your way around the egg left to right or right to left. But I really like to go from one side over to the opposite side and then fill in between. So I've aligned my measuring tape once again on the opposite side of the egg this time. I've pinned it in place. I'm going to bring it up to the top, straight up, pin it in place. Bring it straight down, pin it in place. All right, take a look and make sure, is it straight up and down? Mine is coming to the side a little bit. All right, now I'm going to pin it a couple more times just to make sure it does not swivel around on me. Like I said, those extra pins are really just insurance, in case you're not confident that you can hold it straight as you mark it. Now I'm going to mark it top to bottom. And remove the pins. So my first two lines are there, and now I'm going to fill in and do my two lines that are perpendicular to those first two lines. And after that, I will fill in those in-between marks. So at this point I have my 4 basic lines drawn, and I will fill in here in between. But first I kind of like to take a look at the top and bottom points here and see, is everything actually matching up really well. Look at it from the top, and if your lines seem a little bit off, now's the time to change it before you complete this with those extra 4 lines that we're about to do. Here at the top, mine pretty much are meeting up. They're off just a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be, a drastic of enough offset that I feel like it's, throwing everything too much off. All right, the bottom looks good, pretty well proportioned. There seem to be 4 equal sections. So I'm going to go ahead and now just fill in with those 4 in between lines. And there you go, 8 equal sections on my foam egg. If for some reason you get to the end and you are just not happy with how your lines came out, one tip I like to share is that you can take correction fluid or whiteout and just go over those lines that you think are just off too much for you to be able to utilize and just redraw. Or you can use a different color of pen or marker or something and redraw new lines, and that way you'll know which color to pay attention to as you actually make your ornament. I hope you found this helpful. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already to the Ornament Girl channel, where you'll find a lot more ideas and tips and inspiration for your ornaments. Happy ornamenting. Bye.